Please join me in thanking the Columbus Dispatch, represented today by Phil Pikelny, and the Columbus Athletic Club, represented by General Manager Paul Kroll, for sponsoring today's forum. Let's welcome Paul to the stage to introduce our program.
Our first panelist needs little introduction. Michael B. Coleman has been mayor of Columbus since 2000. His recent major accomplishments have focused on initiatives to improve downtown development, job creation, educational, and safe neighborhoods. Please welcome Mayor Michael Coleman. Our next panelist, Doug Motz. Doug is the president of Columbus Historical Society. As a lifelong Franklin County resident and Columbus expert, he leads Columbus history tours, writes, and speaks about Columbus history. Please welcome Doug Motz. Our next panelist is Tom Rieland. Tom has been general manager of WOSU Public Media since 2002. He has produced over a dozen documentaries broadcast on PBS and has won several regional and national awards as a producer. Please welcome Tom Rieland. I am pleased to introduce Barbara Carmen as our moderator this afternoon. Barbara is an editorial writer for the Columbus Dispatch, having covered government, politics, and community events for 26 years as a reporter and Metro columnist. I'd like to introduce Jamie Green, program manager of the 200 Columbus Bicentennial Commemoration.
Thank you all and welcome to this. You should all have a glass of champagne. Anybody who not have a glass of champagne, raise your hand. Great. So 2012 is really a year-long toast to the city of Columbus. But what I would like to do is to toast not only the city today, but to toast the Athletic Club of Columbus, who will be celebrating a centennial later this year, as well as the bicentennial. So I would like you to raise your glass and toast the city and hope that the goodwill that's been fostered this year and the unprecedented collaboration becomes an enduring legacy for the city of Columbus. Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody take their toast. Everybody get a good sip first?
Everybody's loosened up now, right? All it takes. That's all it takes. Just a little swallow.
Good afternoon. Welcome and thank you very much for joining us. It is our 200th birthday, and like any birthday, we take this time to kind of take stock of our lives, see where we've been, enjoy a little bit of where we are and enjoy our successes, and look ahead to what we want to accomplish in the future. So I'm hoping that this will be an engaging and enlightening discussion, not a homily, and so we'll try to keep this moving quickly. I wanted to start first, if I may, with the mayor, because I think knowing him, nobody has looked forward to this birthday anywhere near as much as Michael Coleman. He's been planning it for a long time, and I wanted to ask you first, Mayor, what can we expect out of this year? What do you hope to accomplish out of this year? And finally, I think the biggest question I have for you is, how do you get Columbus out of our inferiority complex?
Well, just like a reporter, I asked 3 questions at once.
He's used to me.
Let me try to answer that. This is a glorious year for our city. It's our birthday, and frankly, this all came about, just a little history here. This all came about, as I recall, in a conversation I had with Mike Curtin, who was with the Columbus Dispatch, who said to me in like 2006, 2007 time frame, we've been around a long time, somewhere around 200 years. I'm gonna check on that, and he did. He said 1812. That's the year. And then I turned to Mr. Dorian, my mentor, who's right here. I said, Mr. Dorian, is that right? All right, we're just here to have a little fun, okay? I'm gonna get scolded later. And so this is a great opportunity to galvanize the city. After 200 years, it's a time to celebrate our past because we have a wonderful past. And I learn more about our past every single day. I learn more about our city, and I'm proud of it. And then use the year as an opportunity to acknowledge where we are today, because we are who we think we are. And if we think we are a cow town, we are a cow town. But if we think we are a city of swagger, a city of vibrancy, one of the greatest cities in America, the best city in the nation to live, to work, and to raise a family, that's who we are. And we are our own ambassadors. We are our best ambassadors. And I also see this year as an opportunity to really use this year as the launching pad for the future. An opportunity to gain momentum, to tell our story, because we have a great story to tell and we don't tell it enough. And we have some people up here that are very good at telling our story, and I'm sure they'll talk about that. So momentum, it is talking about our community being, I use the word swagger. I like the word swagger. Why do I like the word swagger? Because it means to me the confidence to do what is necessary to achieve. That's how we overcome our, what you call the inferiority complex. We have to have the confidence to do what is necessary to achieve. And that means leading the nation, not being followers in many ways, and telling our story. So I can go on and on and on about this. I have a bicentennial speech coming up on February 29th, and I could talk more about it. Please come.
We will. Tom, I've been absolutely glued to the television, which is rare for me, watching these historical perspective shows that you've been putting on the Columbus neighborhoods. I grew up in Columbus. I thought I knew everything there was to know about Columbus, and I have been fascinated to learn such things as that good old park may have been one of the very first public parks ever donated by a private person to a city. And the footage is fascinating. The history is fascinating. Can you tell us a little bit about what started this? What was the impetus for doing these? What you learned yourself that surprised you? And I also understand that we're going to have an interesting Valentine's Day with the premiere of the Downtown and Franklinton segment.
3 more questions. Okay.
Yes.
Barbara, as the mayor knows, because we've talked about this, it really started with the mayor's push to start thinking about the bicentennial early in 2007 with the formulation of a bicentennial committee. Some of you may have been at the Citizens Summit in early, I think, 2008, the largest gathering of citizens to discuss a single topic about your city. And in those events and activities, a lot of our WSU staff are there, and we're trying to figure out, what's our role here? What role can we play as producers in this community? And what we kept hearing about was the value of the distinctive historic neighborhoods of this community, how valuable they were to building community, how valuable they were to everybody who lived or used those communities or shopped in those communities, and how special they were. So we started looking into that. We connected with Ed Lenz here, our local historian of great note, and now a WSU board member, and we started talking about what can we do, Ed? We have 300 some communities or neighborhoods designated, I think, in Columbus. So how do we do this if we were going to think about this? We started thinking about, for initially 6 neighborhoods that we could start to work on, and those would include other contiguous neighborhoods, and we started with Short North. That aired in 2010, early in 2010, and we're on our 5th one now. And So I want to thank the mayor for that, because that really kind of incentivized us to start thinking about the bicentennial early, which we needed to do. So now we've done Short North, we've done German Village, we've done the University District, the King Lincoln District, and on the February 14th, you know, go out for a dinner on the evening of February 14th, which happens to be Valentine's Day, you know, and come home early or set your DVR at 8 p.m. and watch the premiere of the Downtown Franklinton, which is really the story of the birth of our city. And what's really special about that is really the first 100 years, which there are not many images or film of our first 100 years. And so we tell that story in a very unique manner, the first 100 years of Columbus, but also the first 200 years. And I think you'll enjoy it. So I'm not sure if I answered all your questions.
I'm curious, is there anything that you stumbled over as a fact that just surprised you about Columbus or about the neighborhoods?
I think there's too many. I mean, I'm not one of the producers. I raised the money to make this happen. So, and I should mention Chase and State Auto for their very generous assistance to make it happen. But I think every one of them, I go back to the Short North piece, because that was our kind of out of the first time we'd done a program like that, and the mayor was at the premiere of that as well. And understanding the transformation of Short North is just incredible, and where it's come from is a great story, and will continue to be a great story. And we went to a small premiere at a local tavern in the Short North District, and I was walking out of there, it was about 1 a.m., and walked by Goodale Park, and you mentioned Goodale Park, and when you see these documentaries, as you walk through these neighborhoods, I think you consider our history and our sense of place in where we live totally different, because you respect it more. You understand better the people that came before and made this possible for us, and I think that gives us a more understanding and commitment and passion for this community. And I did that when I walked by Goodale Park, knowing, I was talking to Doug earlier about that being a training ground for the Civil War exercises at Goodale Park, and one of the first public parks in America. And just understanding what went on there was very important to me, and kind of changed the way I thought of Short North.
Mayor, did you?
Yeah, I just want to comment about WOSU's documentaries. They're great. You have to see every one of them, because you don't know where you're going until you first understand where you come from. And what these documentaries do is explain where we come from, how we have changed over time, the foundations, the values, the factoids that help us on our daily lives. And you begin to understand how we got to where we are today is easier to understand where we need to go tomorrow. So WOSU did a great job, and the producers are fabulous, and so I appreciate that.
Which gives me a great lead in to Doug. Can you tell me what we're going to have at the Historical Society, and what will we see when we walk in? What will be available to the public? Will you have artifacts? Will you have public documents, public papers?
The first thing that anyone will see when you walk in right now is I couldn't be more proud and more excited to fling open the doors of the brand new Columbus Historical Society. It's a 1909 working Firestone Columbus automobile that was actually made here. The gentleman that's allowed us to borrow it actually drives it once a year in the Bexley 4th of July parade. What you might also see is Lucas Sullivan's actual copy of his first plat map. So we talk about Lucas and we talk about these things, but they're real documents. They were real people. There was real industry that was here. And I think putting that sense of place into where we are, and as the mayor said, to understand where we've been, helps us all. I think the mayor kind of liked the little story. He was telling me earlier about Judge Jarvis Pike. He was excited to learn that our first mayor was also a bar owner. And when the legislation was in session, they would retire and go to his bar. What I told him was, did he know that Judge Jarvis Pike was actually the first mayor to sue the governor successfully? and the Mayor Coleman said,
no, you tell him.
Well, he started pulling out his notebook
Mayor
and
Coleman
taking
said
notes.
he's not going to be the first one, or the last one. So no, I'm terribly excited. Mike Frush, who is our exhibitions chair, I know he's here. If you'll stand up, I'd like to acknowledge him. The work that he and his team have done, COSI has transformed a former locker space They've transformed a former locker room space within about 2 months, and they've given us, I don't know, an exorbitant amount of about 2 weeks to fill it with wonderful things. And Mike and his whole team are just, I don't know how they're getting it all done, but it's amazing. On the 14th, we will be opening it up to everyone. If you can come, please do. The grand opening will go from 7 until 9:30. We will be partnering with COSI and WOSU again. If you're going to DVR it, great. If you want to come and see it on the big screen at COSI, by all means, let us know, because we'll be screening the Franklinton and Downtown documentary there as well.
Great. Mayor, you talked a lot about if we think we are something, we are something. I just came back from Austin. I'd always heard Columbus compared to Austin. We were always number 2 and they were number 1, and I'm here to tell you I came back and thought, maybe something we have in Columbus is truly magical. Maybe we just don't realize we've got it here, because they do not have a short north. They do not have a German village. Their downtown neighborhoods that are comparable to Clintonville have maybe 1 square block of restaurants. When you're used to the vibrancy and the urban energy that we have, Indianapolis is now looking at how do they mimic Columbus's neighborhoods. How do you get people here to believe in themselves? You're the drum major for the city of Columbus. How do you get us enthusiastic about ourselves?
Well, we're all drum majors. We all need to be drum majors. You know, and I'll tell you a story about Austin as well. When I first took office, I took a group of business leaders to the city of Austin, because we have this little inferiority complex. Let's go look at other cities and see what they're like, so we could be like them. Well, we went there, and frankly, I thought it was a nice city. I'm not going to say anything bad about Austin, but I thought Columbus was on the verge of something terrific. And then we met with the Dell president, senior vice president. Ty Marsh was there, and he was part of that as well. And they were thinking about the Dell computer folks thinking about moving employees or creating a operation somewhere in the country. And they went to a city, not in Ohio, and some 10,000 jobs flourished there. And I said, well, why didn't you pick Columbus? He said, I don't know anything about Columbus. He said, when I started telling him about all the great things Columbus has, I went down the list, down our demographics, down our economic factors, down our housing, everything, our parks, everything. And he said, if you had told me, you might have been on the finalist list or might have gotten these 10,000 jobs. But whose fault is that? Mine or yours? So I learned a lesson. And the lesson was, unless you tell your story, nobody else will. So we all have an obligation to tell our story. And our story is a great story, but first we need to understand what that story is. And that's what this year is all about, understanding the story and having a little bit of confidence that we can go to the next level and that we can do things in the city that will help change the city. I look at the city of Columbus and I look at every other city in Ohio. And Columbus is the pillar of the state of Ohio. I look at cities around the country, they hold them up so high, like Austin, and I compare Columbus. I said, what are they doing there? We're the city where things are happening. We're the city that's had an 11% increase in population over the past 10 years. I went to, one last thing. I like to do antique shopping, 'cause I can't afford anything, but I saw a magazine. And you remember the old Look magazines? Life magazine, Look magazines. You too young to remember that, Barb.
Thank you.
So, these big pictorials. And on the cover of the Look magazines, dated 1965, and it said, cities are dying. So I said, I got to read this, because this is 1965. Why are cities dying then? So I opened up the magazine. The whole issue was about cities all across America. And it talked about the #1 city and the #1 mayor in the country in 1965. It was Detroit. And the mayor was a guy, I think, by the name Kavanaugh. Long pictorial. And then I went through it, and then I got to an article talking about the top cities in America. And the list, it was by population, and by population meant that they were the coolest people who wanted to live there. That's why the population was growing or big, because people wanted to live there. So I looked all through the list. Columbus was not listed at all. Number 1 on the list was New York. Number 5 on the list, I think, was Detroit. Number 7 on the list was Cleveland. And there were many other cities that were listed. I looked at the list today. Now, Detroit is smaller than Columbus by about 60, 80,000 people. Cleveland is less than half the size of the city of Columbus. And many of the top 10 cities then are now smaller cities now. And that tells us that population growth, people leave cities that aren't good, that aren't doing what that community wants. There's something going on, and they're coming to Columbus. And that's a big testament about our city. So we're now the 15th largest city, and maybe the next census will be in the top 10.
Thank you. Tom, I think the most interesting take-home lesson from the series of shows is to realize that these neighborhoods didn't just come back to life on their own, that they took a lot of hard work by both government and the people who live there. And I'm curious from you, what lessons do you think these documentaries have to tell about how we continue to grow and how Columbus continues to develop? Can you draw any conclusions from these?
Yeah, and I think there's some things that are outlined in the documentary that are real challenges of our past. When we lost a great architectural gem in the Grand Central Railroad Station,
That's bad.
and it was torn down in the middle of the night, and that's part of the Short North documentary. When we disconnect communities with interstate highways, and we see the long-term impact on those communities. But we also see a lot of individuals who can really make a difference in those communities, who step up and through a great deal of passion, a great deal of work, can gather others to, on the grassroots level, really make a difference. So I think that's something you see over and over again. Not all these communities have come back. I mean, King Lincoln has some work to do yet, and we know that, but we document that in that documentary, which premiered at the Lincoln Theater, and which is part of the comeback, I think, of King Lincoln District. So it's not all good news. Sometimes it's still a lot of work in a lot of these communities. And I just wanted to mention, Barbara, that one of the things that was really interesting about this project that continues, and we hope to continue beyond 2012 with other neighborhoods in Central Ohio, is the ripple effect of this. And before we run out of time, I want to say, if you haven't attended Jazz Moves Columbus at the Capitol Theater, you should. And it ends on Sunday, and it's a partnership with Ballet Met and Columbus Jazz Orchestra and WSU. And it's just a wonderful concert and performance, and I know many of you mentioned this as I walked in, so I hope everybody will go to the Capitol Theater, enjoy a piece of the Bicentennial through the artistic enterprises of Byron Stripling and Gerard Charles and our Mary Rathke at WSU. So I wanted to mention that.
It's a great point. The collaborations that have produced this community are really worth noting. I'm curious a little bit, Doug, how did the Historical Society come to move into COSI? And are you going to have archives? Are you going to as a reporter, I've always lamented the fact that city council people have served and maybe their public papers went home and went into their basement after they served. And there's a great amount of historical documents. I find myself wondering how wonderful it would be if we had Jack Sensenbrenner or Maury Portman's papers and we could look through those today. Will you have those archives, and how did this come about?
It came about actually through a conversation we had with Tad Jeffrey, and I think Tad's here. He's kind of the architect of this. We were actually searching for more space for our archives. We were busting at the seams at Jefferson Avenue at the Jefferson Center, which had been our home for several years, and we had put on exhibitions and led different programming from there. And we were meeting as part of the Bicentennial History Group that Mr. Dorian was part of, and Ed Lentz and others, and we were talking about what could we do, and we thought, well, maybe we could at least get a space for our archives to make them available to people like yourself, Barbara, and others who are interested in doing a little bit of that research. So Tad suggested that I speak with David Chesborough at COSI, and so we did. And this was probably about 2 years ago, and at that time, David thought it was a really interesting idea, but he wasn't certain that they had the space for archival storage. So we thought, well, that's okay. We continue on some other paths, looking for some other homes. We spoke with the folks at the Ohio Historical Society as well, and they didn't really have some space for us. And given that at the time, we were a very small organization, continue to be a small organization, the Columbus Historical Society gets founded in 1990 by Sandy Andromeda, who happens to play Lucas Sullivan in the WOSU film series. So if you're watching that, you'll see Sandy, who thought that maybe Central High School could become a history center. So I don't think that Sandy thought of himself as a futurist, but certainly his vision has come full circle. Well, we continue to meet with David and the entire team at COSI, Steve Langsdorff and Kim Keel in particular, and they thought maybe there was room for us to partner. And our executive director, Jeff Lefevre, is kind of a master at forming these community partnerships and making those links. And we kept talking, and we had our 198th birthday party at the Toledo and Ohio Railroad Station, and they allowed us to use some of the Lucas Sullivan artifacts that they had, because many of you may know this, some of you may not. COSI on the books is actually the Franklin County Historical Society. And that's where they got their start, and COSI was an offshoot of, I guess, the Columbus Historical Society's godfather, something. So we kept chatting. COSI was going to be doing a whole presentation on their extreme screen about flight. And one of our colleagues, kind of a postcard historian, Dick Barrett, also very interested in aviation, did a talk along with that. So we started doing some programming together. We started exploring ideas. Could we do something? They came back to us and they said, you know, you guys are doing this fantastic programming. They came and saw one of our gallery exhibitions when rock and roll hit Columbus that we had at the Jefferson Avenue space in 2010. More people should see this. Maybe we could make some space at COSI for you. We said that'd be fantastic. Our boards got together, we chatted, and in December of this past year we made that announcement. And so it was one of those kind of, it was going along, and I do think of it as coming full circle. We're still looking for a centralized space for our archives. So if anyone has a few thousand square feet around, we'd love to be able to do that, to make those available, because we do get that request quite often, people wanting to look at that, and we try to make that available to folks as often as we can.
That's great. I should also let you know that at about 12:55 we're going to start taking some questions. I'm not sure, Teresa, you'll let me know what time it is, so that you can start thinking about what you would like to ask. You have some great panelists here, so here's an opportunity to ask your questions. I would ask each of you to take 30 seconds and just tell me why you think Columbus is a great city. So you can cheerlead a little bit too. Judging from what you've learned this past year as you prepared for this birthday party, give a 30 second spiel, not 30 minutes.
That's the mayor.
And tell me why, if you're speaking to somebody from out of town, Columbus is a great city to live in.
Reason why Columbus is a great city is because of its people. That's real simple. I just look out upon this audience and I go into neighborhoods and meet all of the people that have made this city a great place. We have some incredible folks in this community that lift us up in many ways. And this bicentennial is designed for the people, so that each person has the opportunity to be the ambassador, to beat the drum. And it's what makes us great. Columbus is about people, and it's the people that make us great.
That's great.
I'd have to echo what Mayor Coleman said. When I do traveling, people are always saying, "You're so nice, you're so nice. Why are you so nice?" I was born on Bryden Road. Maybe that's part of the reason, when St. Anne's Hospital used to be down there. I think there's something about being a crossroads. I think there's something about the hospitality industry being so much based here. We're a huge convention center for many years, a huge transportation hub, with the university and the Capitol both being here, and the diversity of people that it brings. People have to be friendly and at least polite with one another. It's good for business, and in turn, it's a great example when we do go out other places in the country and around the world.
I think, of course, the neighborhoods. I'd have to say that, but also I'd have to say being an open community, and we hear that word, those two words, smart and open, a lot these days. But I think I didn't grow up here. I've been here 10 years, and I think a lot of people that come to this community feel they can connect really quickly and make a difference really quickly, and their ideas are considered. And that's not the case in a lot of communities. You have to be a legacy in a community before your ideas are considered. And I think you can make a real difference in this community if you have great ideas. It doesn't matter who you are.
That's a really good point. I remember Commissioner Marilyn Brown telling me that that was one of the reasons that they moved to Columbus, is because you did have an opportunity to succeed and to be taken just for who you were. So that's a great point. My understanding is we're dividing this year into 3 parts. We're taking a look at our history. We're going to celebrate who we are with the summer festivals. And then we're going to start envisioning what we can become in the future. So I would ask each of you, what is your dream for this city? We're at a milestone birthday party.
This time.
Okay. This is a milestone. Every time you have a big birthday, you take a look at your life and you say, okay, what's my future goals? You want us to start with that, Tom?
Future goals for the city.
Yes. Where do you think we ought to be headed?
Yeah. Why don't you go to the mayor first? No, I think, and I'll take the side that maybe the other two won't, although Doug may. I mean, I really think understanding where we've come is incredibly important, and we're not there yet. We have to understand that and how that impacts our future. If you don't understand the past, you're not going to create a good future. So that's part of what we hope to continue to do through our efforts. But obviously there are many other things, and I'll let the mayor tackle those. But I think by just forging forward without an understanding of what came before is not the way to go. So understanding that history is really critical.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Understanding your history is very important. Again, I think that Columbus wouldn't be Columbus without Lucas Sullivan bankrolling the folks who made this part of the river our capital. There were a lot of places that were fighting and arguing for it, and then even back in the 1841, when the legislature wouldn't give more money for the brand new capitol being built because they were still arguing about where the permanent capital was going to be. It shows you that Chillicothe, Springfield, Zanesville, they all wanted that. Same is true for the university. When the land grant colleges program came out, there were several legislators that wanted to close OU and Miami University at Oxford and combine it into some mega university. Obviously, those communities fought and kept their colleges, although Miami closed for a few years. But Ohio State University almost didn't come here, and in large part, the curriculum that we know now is also thanks to a Sullivan, Joseph Sullivan, Lucas Sullivan's third son, who kind of derived it from Cornell. So if we look at these people that are kind of tenacious and continuing to fight for the city and looking at what is going to make Columbus better, I think that there are plenty of those city and civic leaders still today, and nurturing those through forums like this continue to bring up a fresh crop of leadership with new ideas.
Well, I want Columbus to be the best. I want Columbus to be the best city to live, work, and to raise a family. Real simple. I want us to be the best. And what that means is being a leader city. That means that oftentimes, we're good at this. We follow other examples. We look for best practices around the country, and we do a good job of following them. What I want us to be is a city that establishes the best practice and that others follow us. I want us to be a leader city. That means sometimes stepping out there a little bit and doing things that we study, we look at, but do them, end up doing them. And as a mayor, I always like to do things, and when we can't get things done, it's very frustrating. So I want us to get things done and be the best, and not be a flyover city. The world thinks of the United States of New York and L.A. and sometimes Chicago. Well, Columbus is a great city, and I want us to be the best city in the nation to live, work, and raise a family. We got a lot of young folks in this community. I think our average age is something like 34 in this community. And we're attracting all these magnificent young folks that have great ideas. I want them applied in this city. I want us to be an innovative city. I can go on and on. So I boil it down to the simple phrase. I want Columbus to be the best city in the nation, to live, to work, and to raise a family.
Great. I think we're ready to have some questions from the audience. There's a microphone right down there. And if people want to line up, don't all rush.
Well, thank you.
Are they
Go
coming
ahead,
up?
Mayor.
As they're coming up, I want to show off this a bicentennial coin. This is the first one minted that I have, but it's a wonderful coin. Jamie, tell them where they can buy this later. But
Right outside.
Right outside. But there's only a few of them, and we're in the minting business now. Pretty soon we'll be printing money. We're going to take over the role of the U.S. government. We're the only city in the nation that has a AAA bond rating, better than the United States government, state of Ohio, and many other cities. And that's why.
So Mayor Coleman says we should have some more swagger. I'll take a little bit of credit for that coin because I'm part of that group that developed it.
All right.
And we went on and on and on about, was Christopher Columbus going to be on that coin or wasn't he going to be on that coin? And it looks fantastic.
right
So
Is Christopher on it?
he is on that. He's right on the back of it. It's fantastic looking.
And on the front is a picture of that Main Street bridge I got beat up so bad about. But now it's part of our history.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, panel, so much for that preview of our bicentennial celebration. The Metropolitan Club always leaves time for questions, and CMC records all of its forums for televised broadcasts on ONN, streaming on CMC's website and the Columbus Metropolitan Library website. I see that we have a couple of questions, and also if there are others, please feel free to come to the microphone. And as always, we'll remind you not to make long editorial comments. So we'll take our first question.
I'm Carol McGuire. I'd like to push a little bit on that last question and ask each of you if you have a wish list for Columbus going forward, and if so, what would be the top 2 or 3 things on the wish list as we are looking toward our future?
I guess that means you start with me, huh? I think the thing I would really like us to focus more on is transportation. And we have a good bus company. We need a transit philosophy in the city. That includes rail, that includes biking, that includes other forms of transportation beyond cars, because I think the future is in those competitive cities. You know, I looked at that 1965 magazine, and I saw all the cities in there. Columbus wasn't part of it. We're on the list now, but 40 years from now, who's going to be on the list 40 years from now? And my personal belief is that those cities that adequately address mass transportation regionally are those cities that will prosper more than the cities that don't. And we have to deal with that.
I guess I would also say transportation, but for me, I live in a rather depressed area of the city. I live in the Old Oaks Historic District, so this is me separating myself out from the Historical Society. And I see wonderful things that are happening in Wineland Park, and I see some really terrific things happening in Franklinton, as well as part of south of Livingston with the Children's Hospital initiative that's going on. And I know Director Safford is trying to address the vacant homes and the foreclosure, the foreclosed homes. On my street alone, I've got more than a dozen foreclosed homes and that are empty. So along with transportation, which I think is super important, there are people in my neighborhood that now have to take a taxi to get to the grocery store because the Kroger moved out at Parsons and Livingston and is down in the brewery district, which is terrific, but there's not really a lot of local options for them to get good, healthy food. So I would like to see some of the housing really looked at holistically, not necessarily just in these terrific pockets that they're being looked at. But for me, that's just for me personally.
I think as we looked at these neighborhoods, I think obviously taking advantage of the distinctive and historic neighborhoods, don't let them go away. Take advantage of the history and what's been built and invest in them is incredibly important. And I think education. When you come to this community, there's not many realtors that will steer you to the city schools of Columbus, unfortunately. They'll steer you to the suburbs. And we need to have an understanding that our education is top-notch in the city of Columbus and grow that and have more people move in with children into these neighborhoods.
Yes, my name is Ron Geese, and I came because Michael was speaking today. First of all, Doug, I'm sixth generation from Dublin, and we thought we were going to be the capital of Dublin. Our history records show that.
I've heard about this card game, too, but I haven't seen any proof of
but
it.
to me, my family has been here. My children are eighth generation to be in the Central Ohio area, and I met Michael. He was our labor attorney for our company many years ago, and then he became city mayor, and he continually harped about downtown, incentives for downtown. I drove up, got off the freeway, came Front Street, got on Gay Street, parked at Gay and 4th, and you've done a wonderful job for downtown. And the last question I have is, when are we going to do something on Broad Street? When my family came, Broad Street was the statement of the town when my dad brought me here. And there's some plan to do something similar, kind of like what you did on Gay Street in a grandiose way on Broad?
Well,
is it possible?
There was a master plan put together that we adopted, council and the city, and a lot of people participated in. Among the projects that are being looked at for the future of that master plan is Broad Street. It is not a medium strip down Broad Street, but it is a concept that involves widening the sidewalks and narrowing of Broad Street. Broad Street is a highway, and we're like right in the middle of a highway. We want to slow it down a little bit. Now, we have no specific thing. We haven't set up a budget or anything like that, but it's something down the road that the city leaders will look at. Along with the river, there's some more issues with the river we have to look at that is a major part of our city. Again, High Street is a major part of our city as well. We have a High Street first plan where we're trying to develop High Street. We're close to making some pretty nice announcements on High Street. In certain areas of High Street that will be pretty exciting for this community. So it's all an evolution process and foundation building process, but it's all contained in that master plan, which you need to look at.
Are you talking about cleaning up the river, or are you talking about development?
You're a reporter. I can't tell you.
I won't tell anyone.
Ready for next?
We are.
Okay, hi. I wanted to know, what are some of the public events that we can look forward to during this bicentennial period? And are there any things that are designed specifically to engage kids in interacting with Columbus history, present and future?
I can talk a little bit about, I know at the Columbus Metropolitan Libraries, that's my day job. On Saturday, there's going to be cakes at all the Metropolitan Libraries, and it's going to be free. We'll also, at COSI, I think David's here, can talk about that. David, raise your hand back there. They're having the COSI Family Fun Days on the 11th. Is that correct, David? Yes. Right, and our gallery opening is also going to be free. That's the 14th. We'll have cake as well. We'll have animals and you know, folks from the zoo. And you know, as long as I've got this opportunity, I can't say enough about the team at COSI and how they have done for us. So for the top-rated science center in the country, and I know David's right here, they're top-notch all the way around. I'd like to offer up a round of applause. And WOSU as well. I mean, again, putting this whole neighborhood series together. At the birthday gala that's happening this Friday, the Columbus Historical Society will be presenting our third ever Lucas Sullivan Gift Awards, and it's been announced. So we're very, very pleased that WOSU will be the recipient of the Lucas Sullivan Gift Award because of the neighborhood series.
It's a great series. It's fabulous. There are 250 events so far this year, and the list is voluminous, and there's something for everybody. And our rec centers have something on March 14th, April 12th, April 13th, the 19th, and there's the Ideas Week, the end of September. This weekend, there's all kinds of things happening with the gala and WOSU, Columbus Neighborhoods. Almost every other day, there's something going on. And it'll be really exciting. And you know what? Every day in the newspaper, in the Dispatch, there's a story about the history of Columbus.
Gerald Tebben, fantastic.
And I read it religiously every day, and I learn something new every day about the city that I had not known before, and that's a lot about our city. But it's amazing the richness and the history that we have, and the website has it all, and the website is what?
200Columbus.com.
There you go.
We'll help you.
That's easy.
Let me mention two things real quick. February 14th at noon at the Ohio Theater, we'll also have another premiere of the Columbus Neighborhoods Downtown Franklinton. And if you missed any of the previous documentaries, we have kind of a marathon. On Sunday, February 19th, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., we're running 5 consecutive Columbus neighborhoods from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. So
you have a choice between the Twilight Zone Marathon and Celebrate Columbus.
Kind of like the Twilight Zone. Yeah.
And those are also available online, correct?
Oh, yes, they're available to watch online, too, at WSU.org. Thanks.
Okay, I think we have another
Hi,
question.
my name is Peter McCrae. I just have a quick swagger suggestion, an SS. I think we should petition the national news networks, CBS, ABC, NBC, to have them remove Cleveland and Cincinnati from their weather maps and put the largest city in Ohio on the national weather.
Now that's swagger. I like that. That's a really good idea.
I think we have one more question going to the microphone.
Could it be James Scott? It could be James Scott.
I agree with you completely that we need to tell our story. Is there a public relations and marketing plan for Columbus, Ohio that is one place with one group in charge?
Okay. Was that a question? Okay. What's the question?
A group in charge of public relations for telling our story?
Yes. You know, out of this process, out of the town meeting process, that issue came up on multiple occasions. So for the first time this year, because of the bicentennial process, everybody has come together and we figured out what we're going to talk about. We even changed the city logo. It's now Columbus is Columbus with the U.S. with a star on it. And we want everybody to use that because that says something. You know, we emphasize in the U.S. Yeah, you got it. We emphasize in the U.S. because Columbus, us, is about all of us. Not one of us, not two of us, not this neighborhood, not that neighborhood, not, it's you and me and everybody, Columbus. And so we want to change that right now. And so we do have a strategy. It is coming in place, and everybody is working together really for the first time. And Experience Columbus is the lead on that, and they've done a marvelous job. And they're going to continue with that role. And we want, again, folks to know more about us, Columbus.
I'll take the liberty of asking the final question. Mayor Coleman, you said that we are all drum majors for our city. In another 100 years, what do you think the drum majors of the day will be saying about Columbus?
I think they'll say that during this period of time, during our 200th year anniversary, that this is really the beginning of our Renaissance. That this is a time then that we've done things, grown more, set the stage for than at any other time in our history. So, you know, 100 years from now, to look back at this time and say, this is the city's. Every city has a Renaissance. Every community has a Renaissance, and this is our time. This is our time. And our Renaissance is beginning right about now. And we want it to last for as long as possible. We know our challenges, vacant abandoned homes. I'll come to my press conference in 2 weeks.
I'll be there.
It's about your neighborhood.
I know.
Oh, you knew about that.
Yeah.
Okay. But we're living in a good time. And we've had challenges in this city. We've had 2 major recessions we've just come out of, and we are standing on our feet when other cities are on their knees. We're a great city, and history will show that this is a time to celebrate and a time to be proud of who we are, and that's what they'll say 100 years from now, the beginning of our Renaissance, 2012.
Wonderful. Thank you. As we come to a close, I invite you to join us out in the lobby over coffee and cookies. And also, I do want to remind you that Ed Lentz is here and will be signing books out in the lobby if you'd like to purchase one. Please help me thank the Athletic Club and the Columbus Dispatch for sponsoring today's forum. And let's thank our panel, Mayor Michael Coleman, Doug Motz, Tom Rieland, and our moderator, Barbara Carmen. Please RSVP. Please RSVP for this Friday and for next Wednesday's forum, and have a great afternoon.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to whoever it is. Right, there you go. There you go.
Now they're going to know who we are.
Right.